Communicating with your clients, communicating with your staff, your management team, your entire facilities group. I think that's key. Keeping everybody on the same page, making sure that everybody understands what the goal is at the end of the day. And I think one of the biggest parts of that is honesty. Be honest. Be honest with your team, be honest with your client, and good things happen from that.
Biggest lesson I've learned is probably teamwork makes the dream work. That phrase, having a strong team, motivated, you really can get a lot done, and it's better for our clients. We come up with facility solutions for those clients. So I think a strong team for sure.
I would say to be courteous and respectful to the client and others. It goes a long way to forging those long-lasting relationships. You don't know when you're going to run into these people again or end up working for the same company again. So it speaks volumes and goes a long way.
This is Facility Rockstars, the podcast that celebrates the unsung heroes of our daily lives, facility professionals. I'm your host, Jay Culbert. Join me as we honor these great leaders, sharing stories, insights, and expertise that empower us all to learn and grow together. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Coludus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier.
Welcome back to Facility Rockstars. Can't wait to introduce you to today's panel of guests. I'm your host, Jay Culbert, so let's jump right in. Today, we're diving into a fascinating discussion on facilities management. We're bringing together three experts from the facilities industry to explore team building, workflow, challenges, and innovations in this critical field. Facilities management touches every aspect of how our buildings and spaces operate, from maintenance and efficiency to sustainability and technology. To give us a comprehensive view, we've gathered a panel of specialists who each bring unique perspectives and deep knowledge from their extensive experience. I'm thrilled to introduce our guests for today's episode. Harvey Handy, Operations Manager, David Vansteenburgh, Building Automation Systems, and of course, our returning guest, Tony Burke, Facilities Manager. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Jay.
Of course. So
It's good to be back.
It's great to have you back. David, Harvey, welcome for the first time.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Dave.
So before we start with questions and our discussion, I want to share that we're going to cover three main topics today. The first being technician training, the second planning and scheduling, and the third teamwork and culture. Before we get to that, guys, I do want to ask you, you all have different and at the same time overlapping experience in some cases, but all of it is extensive. So what has been your biggest lesson learned throughout that experience? Harvey, let's go with yours.
I think communication, communicating with your clients, communicating with your staff, your management team, your entire facilities group. I think that's key. Keeping everybody on the same page, making sure that everybody understands what the goal is at the end of the day. And I think one of the biggest parts of that is honesty. Be honest. Be honest with your team, be honest with your client, and good things happen from that.
Fantastic. Thanks, Harvey. David, what would you share with us?
Biggest lesson I've learned is probably teamwork makes the dream work. That phrase, having a strong team, motivated, you really can get a lot done, and it's better for our clients. We come up with facility solutions for those clients. So I think a strong team for sure.
Outstanding. Thanks, David. And Tony, of course, I've asked you this question before, whether it's the same or slightly different. Where would you go with this?
I think it changed slightly. I would say to be courteous and respectful to the client and others. It goes a long way to forging those long-lasting relationships. Like I said before on the previous podcast, you don't know when you're going to run into these people again or end up working for the same company again. So it speaks volumes and goes a long way.
Completely agree. Awesome. And I love that there's three different answers, right? Because it's all important and it's everyone's individual experience. Let's jump right into technician training. I know this is something you guys are very passionate about. So, what challenges do facilities groups face when they're hiring a less experienced group of technicians? Like, what are they dealing with?
Well, I think when you're coming into, when you're bringing in a fresh face, they're young, they're more or less unskilled. If they haven't been out in the trades, you have to look at the training levels. You have to say, okay, well, what are these guys lacking? What do we need in our facility? What systems are we going to have them work on? And what training is going to have to be involved with it? I mean, as a technician, I came up through the ranks. I started off as an electrician, came up through, and I've worked pretty much every system in a building. But it's the systems that you don't know anything about that scare you as a technician. You're walking into a building, the thing's falling apart around you, and you're the one who's going to save the day. And if you're not fully confident in that piece of equipment, and what I mean by confident is, do you understand why it's there? Do you understand what the operation of it is? Do you understand how it operates? There's a whole litany of things that you have to look at, or at least think about when you're a technician walking into it. So I put myself as a manager back in that position and say, well, okay, what training do I need to give my techs? And that's what I try to look at. I want to make sure that they're fully trained, that they're confident in their job, they're confident in themselves, and they're confident that they can fix the problem. So.
Harvey, if you want to expand, or David or Tony, on that, how do you solve for it, right? And you touched on it. It's the training. How do you train them? But can you get a little bit deeper into maybe some best practices around that, things you guys have done that work, so myself and the audience can say, oh, that is a good tactic. Let's do that. Sure.
Yeah, I can expand on that. I mean, trainings, definitely training the technicians. Mentorship, you put them with other technicians, or in the management staff. Our crew, we have a lot of experience in the field. Getting them motivated, and really training them up from the ground level. With this aspect, as a new technician, you could train them how you would like them to be trained. So that is a positive of having newer technicians.
David, are we talking about workshop training, online, outsourced? What types of training?
I think probably the most beneficial training would be on the job. Experiencing the equipment firsthand. When things arise, getting them motivated and showing them exactly how the piece of equipment works. What can happen if there's any issues with that piece of equipment, and how to respond to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tony. Go ahead.
I would definitely agree with that. You got to get in there and work with the technician, especially to gauge their skill level. Everybody has a certain skill level, and to be able to gauge that and also figure out how this technician is going to learn. Not everybody learns at the same speed or can retain information the same way. Some people have the ability to read a tech manual and they're off and running. Other people, they need to get their hands in there. Me personally, I'm a hands-on learner. I could read tech manuals all day. If I don't have my hands on that piece of equipment, I'm not going to retain it. But once I get my hands on there, take something apart and put it back together, I got a blueprint inside my head, basically. So, I mean, having the ability to gauge a technician and see their learning level and how they learn is key to bringing their skill levels up.
I couldn't agree more. I love that you touched on that. Everything you guys said, but really understanding the audience, if you will, right? And how is this information going to be absorbed and retained and utilized? So, that's
right.
Excellent.
And everybody's different in that way. And being able to gauge how this person performs and where they excel is key to guiding them.
Anything from the manufacturers of these pieces of equipment that you're talking about, do they come in at all? Do you lean on them or utilize them in any way?
We do. I mean, it's difficult. A lot of times you get a sales pitch when you bring them in, and that's all you're getting. But what we try to do is, if we've got a vendor who's working on our equipment or something specialized or whatnot, we'll put technicians with them on, so that they can watch, they can learn from the actual true technician on that piece of equipment. Doesn't make them an expert, not something that you're going to turn them loose on, but it gives them a background, gives them an understanding of it, and you can work from there. Online training's great. that can be done, at your leisure. That's fantastic. I agree with Dave though. There's nothing better, and Tony, there's nothing better than putting your hands on it. You're right there working on it. You pull the nut off and you know why it's there. It's the best experience. And I have to say, Tony does a great job. He puts together training programs and they're his own programs. He sets the whole slide deck up, puts all the pamphlets together, and gets up in front of the whole group and teaches them. And he does a great job, and he's very knowledgeable. So hats off, Tony.
Oh, thank you.
I love, Harvey, that you just did that for Tony, because as we know, before we started the show, there was a lot of banter back and forth there, right? So that was very kind of you, Harvey.
I got to
Well
throw
done.
him one every now and then,
Ah. I'm going to hold back on my comments right now.
Yep. You're
Oh,
making
please
him
don't.
blush. He's blushing.
It's more colorful when we don't hold back, guys. That's better.
That's right.
Oh, okay. Kissing ass again, aren't you?
Oh boy.
You unleash
No,
something, Jay.
I agree with Harvey. There's no substitute for getting your hands in on the equipment and learning how it operates. Just even hearing a pump, for that matter, hearing how it runs. Just by the sound alone, you can tell, oh, I got a bad bearing. Oh, I got cavitation. The pump's airbound. Now, what do you do? And that's it. What I try to do is, if something like that comes around, I try to grab the techs, bring him down, and show him right then and there, hey, this pump is airbound. This is how you bleed it out. That's some of the best learning experiences right there.
Sure. It makes sense. So here's what I'm curious about, though. Is someone always available? And my point is, like, if they're stuck, like if we do a training, and Tony, we talked about this in the last pod, right? Together, I believe. And, I learned it in class, if you will. We did learn it hands-on, like you guys are saying. But now Tony's not here, Dave's not here, Harvey's not there. What do I do? Do they call a lifeline and get one of you guys or someone else to help them? Or is there a resource available on their phone? Or like, how do you work through the real life? Like, this is happening at 2 a.m. What do I do?
Pick the phone up and call us.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it is. I mean, give somebody a call that's got the knowledge. I mean, we're all available. I mean, our management team is pretty, I wouldn't say unique, but it's got a really unique path to it. I mean, we've all got a very separate path to where we've gotten to now, and we've all learned a lot along the way. And there's not one of us that don't have a problem at 2 o'clock. The phone rings. It sucks for everybody, but you pick it up. Hey, Tony,
Right.
what do you got? I'd rather hear it from you than somebody else. What are we dealing with? And that's the message that goes out to everybody. The technicians, everybody. Call somebody. Call us.
Yep.
Don't worry about waking me up. That's what we're here.
That's it.
Excellent.
Yeah. We're a strong team. We're only as strong as our weakest link. So we're always willing to help, no matter what time of day or night it is, and we leave that open for the technicians.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, all of us here, we came up through the ranks as service techs.
Yep.
I will say
Coming
that we
into
are.
it.
Oh, sorry, Tony.
No. That's okay.
No, it's
there's
not
nothing
okay.
worse.
Harvey cut you off, Tony. That wasn't nice.
He's trying
That
to
wasn't
He'll pay
polite.
for it later.
He's
He'll pay
instigating
for it
something
later.
here, Tony. I think he's trying to get us going at this.
I don't think he knows what he's trying to get into.
Yeah.
But no, there's nothing worse being a technician, being out on a service call or being in-house, coming in on call, finding something, and you're like, oh my God, what do I do to solve the problem? We've all been in there. We've all run into those situations before. And just having a lifeline, knowing that you can pick up the phone and call someone, it puts you at ease.
Yep.
Just having that little bit of guidance. It takes the fear out of everything.
Well, I think too, one of the things I firmly believe in is like rotation of your technicians. You need to have that cross functionality, across the different systems. So if you've got your plumber and you've got your electrician, they're not going to know each other's trade well enough to do it, as a trade themselves. But if they can get familiar with it, if the electrician's working with the plumber and the plumber's working with the electrician, when the electrician gets called in and has to shut a valve off, he might, at least he knows what valve to shut off. It's we don't have the liberty of having an on-call tech for every trade. So everybody.
Can you say a little bit more about that? Because I bet a lot of people listening would like to know the mechanics of how you actually, and they may be doing it themselves, but I think it's a great, like you said, cross-functional system you're building. Could please say more about it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only logical, really, if you think about it, because you have a short man team. You're always looking for an extra hand. You're always one guy short on everything. So how do you manage that? Well, let me take my highly skilled guys and put them as the leads, and put guys with them that can learn, that want to learn, who want to be a part of it. That's the only way they're really going to learn, is if they have a drive and a want to. You can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. But
of course,
so you put the less experienced with the more experienced, and you let them go, and then you also cross functional with the different trades, so that they know what the other trade's doing. It builds a really good camaraderie on the team itself. That you're more willing to help a guy that you just spent 8 hours sweat and blood trying to get something done with. When he asks you tomorrow, hey, can you give me a hand with this? Absolutely, man. I remember yesterday. Oh, sure. Let's go get a cup of coffee afterwards.
Sure. Sure.
Yep.
So
sure. Thanks, Harvey. And from at least in the intro, we introduced you as more operations, Tony more facilities, Dave more building automation systems. But do you, Tony, or Dave have any different perspective on what Harvey just shared?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, a little different perspective. So from the building automation field, you're involved with every aspect, every trade. You have to know what the electricians are doing. You have to know what the mechanics are doing. And trying to teach the technicians the responsibility of what's happening, what's at stake here. In the middle of the night, when they get called in at 2:00 in the morning, it could be anything. It could be a number of situations that they're running into. So just kind of having that background knowledge in what's happening, how these systems are supposed to run is key. So yeah.
Excellent.
Right.
You with that, Tony?
Yeah. The unique thing is all of the mechanical, BAS, electrical, they all touch everything we work with on a daily basis. Everything these technicians are going to see. Case in point, that pump. Okay, why is the pump not running? Is it powered up? Do you have electricity? Breaker tripped? You need the electrician for that. Mechanically, okay, I just rebuilt the pump, but why isn't it coming on? Well, you can go back to the BAS. Am I getting the start-stop command? So
That's right.
we all work together. It's kind of unavoidable if you think about it. We all rely on each other.
Tony, I'm real proud of you there. You stopped and you didn't dissect that down to tell me exactly how you're going to rebuild the pump. I'm usually he does. Usually he does.
Trying to keep it short answers.
We go on this long tangent about how the pumps. I love it.
So Tony, he just wanted to know the time, not how the watch is made, and I guess that's what you delivered there.
Yeah,
good.
That's right.
We talked about this.
I'm glad you're proud of me for one.
All right,
this is a lot more fun than I even expected, guys. This is good.
I'll tell you, it's like at times, Jay, it's like an abusive relationship.
Wow.
I love hate.
Just getting beaten down.
Yeah. Do you guys, we could do this at the end too, but do you guys want, like, you've mentioned a lot of your history and whatnot, like you've been together for how long? Well, regardless of what company it might have been at the time or whatever, but how long have you known or been working with each other?
So I started at Bristol Myers in 2009. I met Harvey 2012. You came on?
So about 12 years. Yep. 12 years. So over a decade.
Excellent.
I was there. I think I met you when I came back from out west, Tony. That was, I think, probably 2007. When did you start? You said 08?
09.
09. Okay, so that's when I would have met you, and then Dave in 12. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty good
Been
run.
a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Don't remind me.
Quite a few buildings too. Quite a few buildings under our belts doing that. And that's good.
Tony, are you hardened by all those years with this group? Like,
Oh God, we're horrible with each other. Anybody that goes walking by I would have to say, honestly, we're an HR nightmare. To hear the conversations coming out of our mouths at times.
Yeah,
No,
we're
And it's all love.
right. Yeah.
You
No,
should see how we greet each other in the morning.
that's it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't go there.
I don't think we
Don't
want
go
to see
there.
or hear that. No. Mm-mm.
No.
Not- this is a family program.
That's right.
Exactly.
I wasn't
what a
going there. I
perfect
was just
se-
throwing it out there. You know,
You can
you
do that
throw
at
out a
the
little
end.
bit, you bait them in, and see where the conversation goes after that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be our buzzkill timekeeper here, guys. Okay, and there are no rules. We're not on a schedule, right? But we do want to cover the topics, and the next big bucket is planning and scheduling, and this is something again you guys are passionate about. You have a ton of experience with. You can jump right into it, or I can ask you a few questions. You want to have anything top of mind?
Yeah, I could jump in. I could get started. I
Go
think
right ahead.
I think one of the biggest things, I mean, planning and scheduling is your heart and soul. It's where the work starts and where it stops, right? I mean, that's the client request comes in, they facilitate it, they plan it, they schedule it, they order material, they assign it to technicians, they know what technician to assign it to, the technician goes out, does the work, and then it gets closed out by the planning scheduling team. So to me, they are essential for a facilities operation. You're not going to get anything done if you don't have a good planning scheduling team. I've seen good and I've seen bad. And when it's good, it runs so nice. I mean, everything's just clicking. But if the planning scheduling team isn't firing on all cylinders, it's very apparent very quickly. And your whole productivity just falls right off. So
I have a question about that. You said if they're not firing on all cylinders, what makes them good? And any of you guys could answer this. I agree. In my experience, planning is critical. So, what have you seen that went well? Maybe some examples of something that didn't go well and how you course corrected. But what makes up a good planning team, and how do they work well with you?
I think you need to have obviously somebody that's got a mechanical background. Be it whether they were in the trades, one of the trades, doesn't matter what, they need to be able to go look for a part number. They need to be able to climb up a ladder, dig through a ceiling, take a look at what the problem is, and I mean, they don't have to fix it, but you've got to at least know what you're looking at. And I think having a mechanical background is essential for that.
David, Tony, any other view on that?
I agree with Harvey. I mean, I think a mechanical background is essential. When they walk down the jobs, when they're first starting, walking down the jobs, knowing the equipment that they're going to be planning for the technician to work on is key. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, along with having that mechanical background, also communication is critical as well. Communicating with the requester and giving them status on the work order, that definitely goes a long way to smoothing things over, because you're always going to run into problems. You get repair parts, you're rebuilding something, and you find out that there was more than one issue. So now you got to do a follow-up work order. You got to be in communication with the requester. And that's key as well.
Yeah, Tony, we touched on that on our last discussion. What's the value in developing a comprehensive asset list? So, why is it so important for building maintenance?
Well, it's very important because you need to know the equipment that you need to maintain and take care of. It's the heart and soul of the building, really. That's what keeps everything up and running. So you need to perform the PMs and annual maintenance on it. If you don't keep up on maintenance and the PMs and following through and have that plan in place, then the client's going to be at a loss. They're going to have to stop operations. And that's the last thing any of us want.
What kind of technology do you guys use to develop this?
We utilize just the CMMS system. We put our assets into that list. We can put all the serial numbers, identification. You can upload absolutely. And these CMMSs anymore, I mean, there's a ton of them out there, but man, they're amazing. There's so much information you can put in there, so much you can extract back out for analytics and whatnot. They're amazing. They're really coming far with them.
Yeah.
But To add to Tony, though, I mean, the maintenance planning is a big part of why you want to get that asset list. But I mean, you want to do your risk management. You want the life cycle management of the equipment. You know, you want your capital planning. You know, you want to be able to know what in 5 years do I have to replace. You know, everything's got a lifetime. You can take care of it really good, and you can replace parts and everything else. But eventually, it's gonna be time to change it out. You need to know how much to put away for that. You know, when is that going to happen? And you can give a really good assessment of that. I mean, I've done facility condition assessments all over the country for you know, whatever, but you can really dig into that far, and you can find exactly how long's that rooftop unit's been there. Here's the serial number. I got the information. How long do I have left on it? You know, and you can put that into your budget, you know. So there's a whole ton of reasons you need an asset list, but those are probably the top couple for me.
I like what you just said, and David, jump in, please, if you'd like. I want to delve into the budget piece, because we didn't touch on that yet. And, you know, a lot of people do struggle with the budgets, right? Well, finance only has this much. So could you expand at all on, it sounds like you have an excellent system for predicting, right? Getting it in the coffers, right? And how do you guys do that? What could you share with all of us?
So instead of having a break fix mentality, right?
Mhm.
You can plan those those repairs, on that piece of equipment. It's so kind of what your life expectancy on that unit is, or on that piece of equipment, on that asset. And you can prepare, budget wise, you can prepare your client, or your own budget, so that when it comes time to fix that system, rather than allowing it to go its full life cycle. And once it gets past that life cycle, it's anybody's game, at that point. And when it breaks, it can cause some issues, right?
Certainly.
Yeah, and to touch on that, Dave, the life cycle of equipment, that's also affected by the conditions that the equipment operates in. Let's say you got an exhaust fan and that thing is running constantly 24/7 and never shuts down. That's going to impact the life cycle. That's also going to impact your maintenance frequency as well.
Yeah, equipment.
So it's definitely important to have that recorded and documented.
Can we talk on, we didn't talk about this previously, I don't think, but just project scheduling too, and how that all integrates. Like, we're talking about life cycle of equipment, we're placing it financially. How does it fit into the whole organism of the facility, right? And, you're bringing vendors in, you're doing some in-house. Can you please speak about that a bit too, and how that all rolls for you guys?
You can't just arbitrarily have people coming in and out of the building, right? So you've got to know when they're coming in. You have to align all that with your maintenance schedules. Make sure that you've got the right people at the right spot at the right time. I mean, we work with a lot of clients that are very sensitive on shutdowns and when maintenance activities are taking place. So you have to be very conscious of that, very conscious of what your client wants. You want to get the work done. It's might be convenient for you to schedule it at 10 o'clock Tuesday afternoon, but your client wants it at 10 o'clock at night on Tuesday, so you have to be flexible. It's why are you there? Are you there to make your life easy, or are you there to take care of your client?
Sure. Tony, Dave, any other perspective on that?
Yeah, I would agree with Harvey. We're there to support the client, and that's one of many hurdles that we got to jump through, getting everything coordinated and scheduled to do that shutdown so that the work can get completed. The other thing is the work that's getting done. You also have to make sure that the work gets done satisfactory, the area is clean and neat, and nothing's left behind. You have to do work in a space and make sure that project is done and completed, and everything is left like nothing ever happened.
Right.
That's one of the key things.
Absolutely. And communicating with the client during the whole process is key. As we're planning, scheduling these vendors, we just have to verify that everything the client is okay with the timelines, is okay with the, when the repair is going to happen, depending on, parts availability, all of that. So.
So we all know. Go ahead. You got something, Harvey?
No, I just, it's like what, to what Tony's point was is, the client comes first. That's
Mhm.
the first and foremost thing. But, one thing that we haven't really mentioned, but is a huge part of every job, and especially when you're bringing people in that aren't familiar with your facility or anything else, is safety. Keep that in the front of mind. You've got to make sure the job gets done safely. Otherwise, it's not a good job. So,
Absolutely. Well, let's stay on that for a minute, because safety is paramount. Like there's no, some people say there's no budget for safety because whatever it takes, right? But how do you handle safety in your buildings?
well, for us, it's the top of the line. I mean, we meet every morning. We have a safety meeting every morning. We review a safety slide, go through it. It's a topic for the week. We get down into it. Some of them are, pretty intense, and then one day a week we have one of our managers do a presentation themselves. They run through a 5-minute slide deck that they've created, and we rotate everybody through, and it keeps it on the forefront of your mind. First thing in the morning, you're looking at safety. At least you're thinking about it, and it's been put into your brain, so that when you go out and you grab that wrench and you go to do something, it's like, well, what did we talk about today? Today we talked about being in the line of fire. Maybe I should take a look at that, just things like that. I mean,
Sure.
we have all the forms and job hazard analysis and safe work permits and everything that most places have, and those are key and essential for safety. But I think having that moment every day is good.
So yeah, so safety is priority. It's priority number one. Everybody wants to go home safe. And we utilize job hazard analysis. We actually get the vendor involved in helping to write that job hazard analysis, so
Smart.
that they understand what the hazards are, and kind of what we're looking for. And it is such a priority for us.
So with given all of this, like you guys have everything very well articulated, planned, and organized. We all know that facilities, construction, maintenance is not a straight line. Things don't just go always the way we plan. They're going to change, right? They're going to fail.
When do they ever go as planned? Honestly.
Exactly, right? So like this is the perfectly scripted book we're kind of illustrating here.
Right.
It's great.
Mhm.
And like, let's just jump over and say, okay, what happens when things don't? Like, how do you buffer for when something, I'm not saying someone gets hurt necessarily, but what are those systems you have in place to catch that? All right, this didn't go right. Harvey, we're screwed, man. Like this project is off course.
I think the first thing, if you've got a project that's going south, you got to stop, regroup, do a timeout, pull everybody in, say, hey, where are we at? What are we doing? If it's a safety concern, full timeout, 100% stop. I know time is money. I lived that for many years in construction. But safety first. I mean, not to be a cliche, but that is the reason we're there. We all get up,
Mhm.
we go to work, and we want to go home and reap the rewards of our work. So we need to do it safely while we're there. What do you do when things go south? Yeah, you got to stop, pull everybody back together, and get a game plan to go forward.
Got it. Great.
Mm.
I do want to get to the culture discussion we're going to have, but is there anything else that you think we should cover here, guys, on planning and scheduling, or safety for that matter?
All are key, everything. And that's the thing with facilities, is there are 1,000 different angles that you need to approach it with. And every one of them is super important for one reason or another. So how do you distinguish which one's which? Well, I mean, when you, like what your question was before, how do you handle the situation that goes south? You got to be dynamic. You got to be able to think outside the box. You got to be able to think quick. You've got to have some experience under your belt. You know what? I had the same thing happen to me in 2004. I remember what I did. Not that, you have to fall back on that. And that's what makes a great team, is when you have a diverse team, a team that's got something from every angle. That's, everybody's done something great. Everybody's got a history. So I may run into a problem and Dave's got the answer like that. He's like, oh yeah, I know what to do on here. Tony, our entire team does that, and they're wonderful. and it's because we've got a very skilled team. I think that's important as well.
Anything on that, guys? Tony, Dave?
I agree with Harvey. I mean, you have to really be dynamic. You have to be able to pivot, when things happen, because they ultimately always do happen. There's always can be some issues, hopefully small, that you can fix, that we can get ahead of and fix. Getting the team together is key. If we have to speak to the vendor, just getting things back on track.
Perfect. Couldn't agree more.
Definitely.
Pivot and adapt.
That's right.
Definitely.
Yep.
One of the things I learned in management is a plan is a list of things that don't happen. No, if you run across a
your
problem,
management style, Tony.
hey, it works. It works. Don't knock it. No, if you run across a problem, the best thing to do is just stop, take a time out, regroup, figure out what the problem is, what is the situation, what's failing, what's working. And like we have a diverse team, everybody has knowledge in their areas. We figure it out. That's what we do.
I always say, everybody does something great. It may only be one thing. Some people do a lot of things great. I'm not that person, but everybody does at least one thing great, and find out what that one thing is with that person and build on it.
That's very, very true. It's so true throughout. Like, it's universally true. Like, don't try to make everyone a jack of all trades. I know I'm weighing in with my experience and opinions here on what you're saying, Harvey, but it's true. Like, there are certain skill sets that people excel at. Like, people who are in finance, well, maybe they wouldn't do well in construction, or maybe they would, right? But
I think it comes down to your passion. What do you love doing?
Sure.
My father-in-law was a pilot for United for his 40 years or something. It was a long time, and that man loves flying. He still flies. He flies every day that he can. He's got his airplane. He goes up. He goes around. If the weather's permitting, he's up there. The man loved his job, and I'm just in admiration of that, because it's like, that is an awesome thing. If you can go to work every day and love what you do, God bless you, man. That's an awesome. Good for you.
that is awesome. What's he flying these days? What type of plane?
Oh, he's got a little Beechcraft. I think he got rid of the 836, so I think he's got the C-33 right now. But yeah, he's up every day.
Any photography or videos from up that high?
I take some pictures here and there when I'm up with him, but yeah, I don't do it too crazy. I haven't been up in a long time either.
Cool. Very cool. Is he local in this area?
He's down in Connecticut. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Beautiful country to see from the sky.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I want to jump into teamwork, because you guys clearly have years under your belts of being a team. We've spoken a lot about kind of this aspect of business throughout our discussion so far today, but specifically, what makes a good team in your opinion? Maybe things we partially covered or didn't cover yet, right? What makes a good team? How do you build it? How do you grow it? Like, how does everyone have each other's back? Those types of things.
Get put in a difficult situation and have to work yourself out of it. That would be what I'd say. Not that I would recommend that's the best way, but that way seems to always build a good team. I mean, if you put a group of people that have to rely on each other 100% for success, they're gonna build at least the ability to work together and become a team. They may not be friends and go out and have beers afterwards, but at least they're going to learn how to work together, and they're going to have to do it quick. So
definitely.
Yeah, that's right. Being under the gun, when things arise, and knowing that you have a strong team to back you up. Everybody's willing to pitch in and help in any situation. I mean, I know our team, we have a very strong team. If there's an issue with let's say our building management system, and we need people to help, take a look at different things on different floors, and our team definitely works together and gets things done, no matter what time of day or night. We're willing to stay late, even if we're not planning to. People are willing to stay late to help and fix and solve the solution. Get a solution.
This comes from the guy who spent what was like 20 hours on a call with IT to try to get a network issue solved.
Yes. On a Sunday. Yep.
That sounds phenomenal.
He tells me
Yeah.
that on Monday. I'm
Other
like,
than
"You did
football."
what?" I said, "You spent the whole day Sunday on a line."
I did, but yep, you do what you have to do, I mean, and you work until the the job is complete and you solve it.
I was just going to say the last thing I would say with that is trust. You have trust in your team. You have trust in your team members that they're going to do what they need to do, and you're going to do what you need to do. So, having that trust, and that probably goes back to the military, but having that trust in one another is key.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I haven't asked you how many team members make up your team, approximately.
Boy, no names, Tony. How many we got?
Oh God.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of us. 7
Yeah,
of us.
about that.
Yeah.
Okay. So 8, right? So give or take. And how did you build it? How did you get to this point? Was it like you said, Harvey? Was it, get into a difficult situation? But how did you find the people at first? And did you teach, or did they learn how to be this type of a team member? Or did you find people who are already thinking that way?
Mostly I've worked with everybody for so long. That's really how our team was built. It's just an overtime thing. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
The trust factor.
Absolutely.
I would
Yeah.
agree. And I would say that relationship was definitely forged by having those late nights being in the fire with these guys.
Yeah.
You come out, you're there at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning trying to fix an air handling unit. And by the time you get it done, you look around and it's like, we did it. We're free. We can leave now.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is,
dancing on top of the fire pump, right, Tony?
oh God, yeah, that night that was fun. But we have these situations that we've all been in, and it's ironic because you're building these relationships in the midst of being thrown in the fire. It's funny how that works out.
Yeah, I mean,
Definitely.
our team is pretty unique because we all were in the technical field, right? We were all technicians at one point. We worked together, in and around that at that point in our careers. So we kind of built that trust, we knew each other prior to being managers and, running a team. So, I mean, it really just built the relationship between us. Our teamwork is, what would happen is, my experience is, I'd look after a job is done, I'd look around me, who's still there, who's still going to, help solve that situation at the end of the night. So,
yeah. Let me ask you this. So you have your core team members, but let's talk about your client as a team member too, because I think it's highly relevant for us to touch on this, right? It's everyone listening will resonate with that. Like, how do you work as a team with your client?
I think it's essential to have that relationship with your client. The thing I can say the most is be truthful. Don't ever try to BS your client. Your client is there you're there to take care of their problems. That's your whole purpose. So if you're trying to avoid that, then get a different job. Go find a different career, because your job is to take care of them. Your job is to connect and make that bond. Now, understanding, I mean, there are some relationships that are not going to happen. There's just a conflict that things just don't work. I think as a team, where you need to go with that is, okay, well, what member of our team has that dialogue, or what member of our team, can get through to our clients. So then, it doesn't matter your position. If you've got the ability to get through, then you're the person. We're gonna utilize you and utilize you to get our message through, because your message is always for the best intention of the client.
Of course. So, all right. Well, then let's touch on culture, right? And before we do, what role, in your experience, does mentorship have in terms of building good teams?
Oh, it's right there at the top. I mean, you're going to learn best from somebody who's showing you, right next to you, showing you how to do it. And that's not even technicians. That goes into every angle. If you're management, I mean, typically they don't hire you knowing exactly everything they want you to know. So,
right,
you're going to learn things as you go, and you're going to use somebody as a mentor, whether they know it or not, or whether you know it or not. So, it's best just to grab it and go with it and say, you know what, can you show me how to do this? I noticed you do it well. Can you show me how to do it? And jump on there and go with it, because you're going to learn a lot. I mean,
Right.
people love to tell you, how to do things. That's what I found.
Yeah. It is vital. It is vital for, like, knowledge transfer, right? It's in career development, the knowledge transfer portion, being able to mentor somebody that is willing to learn and willing to, to grow. They see kind of where you started in that position. We all started in that position as a technician, trying to learn as much as we can. And, being able to get to that goal of, if that's your goal, to become management and be a part of the leadership team, it's crucial to be a mentor to somebody for that. So we try to do that as much as we can with our technicians.
Yeah, definitely, Dave. Mentoring the technicians and others, definitely not just passing off that skill set, but also lets them know, hey, you're part of the team. This
Yep.
Absolutely.
This is where you
Definitely.
want. We want you here.
Well, and Dave does that great too. And if I can give a shameless plug, get a hold of Dave. He's looking for a BAS technician.
Love that.
Absolutely.
Get his
Yep.
information. He needs a BAS technician. We've been looking. So, and he's
Oh,
a great mentor. Dave has got a ton of knowledge that he sits next to me at work, and the knowledge that just spills over from him is amazing. So he'd be a good guy. He'd be a great guy. BAS tech all
I
day.
love it. All right, we're gonna get your contact info at the end here, Dave.
Perfect.
We'll get people in touch with you.
Awesome.
And I had some more questions on culture, but I feel like you guys have really comprehensively answered it. Tell me if you would like to add more, but what I'm hearing is, like, you mentor good people to be really great at their jobs, and like how do you say good morning to each other in the morning? Like we said, we may or may not touch on that in this show, right? But let's face it, the fact that you can laugh about it, and like that, in my view, that's part of your culture. But what more would you say about culture?
I think having an enjoyable work environment is really key. Being able to joke and laugh with people, and I think that's really important, right? It builds teamwork dynamic. Being able to get more involved with people overall, and yeah, that's pretty much what I
Absolutely.
got.
Yeah.
I used to work with a guy. I mean, one of the things he said was, he goes, "It's hard enough to get up in the morning, let alone go to work." He goes, "Who wants to go to work and deal with a bunch of..."
Yeah.
If you want to go to work, you want to have a good time. You want to enjoy your
That's
time.
right.
Enjoy who you're working with. Enjoy the job that you're doing. Have a good time.
Definitely.
Enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, go find something that you can enjoy, because life's short. Look at all this
Absolutely.
gray
Yeah.
hair. This stuff keeps coming. It's short, man.
But why? But you say that, but then Tony, you told me you can't stand working with these guys. So how does that play? I don't get
Oh,
it.
they're horrible. Oh, I'm joking around. That's how you show love.
That's right.
Back to how he says good morning to me every morning.
I think, like, we've covered a ton of topics, guys. We've covered the topics that we really wanted to delve into here. Do you feel like there's anything we've missed? Because you've got so many things that your team is doing. Any other nuggets or best practices that you'd want to share with myself and the audience here?
I would just close with, what we started with. What's the one lesson you're taking away is, for me, it's communication. It always is. You have to stay in communication with people. It doesn't matter who it is. Keep the avenue of dialogue flowing, because it's what makes the thing work. If people don't know what you're thinking, or if you don't know what they're thinking, then you're probably going to be going in different directions. So, communication.
Well said, Harvey. Well said. Guys, I can't thank you enough for being on the show. But first, let's get to your contact information. How would people get in touch with you? Because we covered a lot in a short amount of time. If people have questions or want to get in touch and discuss more with you, how would they do so? Tony, how would people get in touch with you?
They can get a hold of me by email, aburke213@gmail.com.
Okay. Excellent. Dave?
they can get in touch with me, David.Vansteenburgh, 522015 @gmail.com.
Outstanding. Harvey, how about you?
I'm a lot simpler than all that. h.handy@outlook.com.
Boom. Mic drop.
You got the short name.
Yeah.
Awesome. Guys, thank you so much for not only coming on the show, but for Tony for being on the show a second time and bringing a panel with you, bringing your team with you. Guys, it's been
Thanks for
exciting.
having us.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, Jay. It's been a pleasure.
It's been my pleasure, truly. Everyone listening, if you learned something, if you'd like to get in touch with the panel, if you laughed, please tell someone else about the show. You can get in touch with all of us. And thanks again, guys. And it's been a really dynamic episode of Facility Rockstars. Can't wait to see everyone again next time.
It's a wrap. Another episode of Facility Rockstars is in the books. Facility Rockstars is sponsored by Colutus, operating the way you operate in order to make your life easier. Until next time, facilitate and rock on.